Welcome to the Volunteer State, and welcome back to our summer 2024 Southern Exploration. Tonight we'll be taking a look at a mall that has gone through some major redevelopment and change within the past decade, plus multiple ownership and anchor changes throughout its existence. So, why don't we get inside and tell the full history of the Fort Henry Mall in Kingsport, Tennessee. In July 1973, it was announced that a new 510,750 square foot enclosed mall will be developed on a 47-acre site near the intersection of Fort Henry Drive and Memorial Boulevard. The mall will be named the Fort Henry Mall and would feature approximately 80 stores when complete. Included in the development are 3 major department stores, a movie theater, and a cafeteria. The new mall will be developed by the Arlen Shopping Centers Company of Chattanooga, Tennessee, who at the time already operated 4 other major shopping centers. In 1974, work began to clear trees from what was known as Roller Woods, where the mall is to be constructed. By September 1974, grading for the property was nearly complete, with actual construction of the mall set to begin in early 1975. In October 1974, a new plan for the mall was announced, calling for a bi-level mall instead of the original plans for a one-level mall, and the plans would also add 1 extra anchor store. On April 5, 1975, it was announced that Parks Belk would be operating a store at Fort Henry Mall. It will be the company's 3rd major and biggest store in the Tri-City area. It will be the largest anchor in the mall, with the most noticeable feature being the custom glass elevator with the department store's interior being described as, quote, "This elevator, flanked by 2 glass balustraded escalators, will be located in a skylighted 35-foot high court. All departments will flow around this area." Parks Belk would close their downtown Kingsport store to move into the mall. A few days later, Sears Roebuck & Co. signed on as the mall's 2nd anchor, and on Thursday, April 10, 1975, a groundbreaking ceremony was held on the mall site to commemorate the mall's construction and the announcement of Sears. On July 5, 1975, it was announced that a Miller's department store would fill the 3rd anchor slot, and a few months later, in October 1974, it was announced that JCPenney would be constructed as the mall's 4th anchor. The store was scheduled to open in 1977, about 1 year later after the mall's opening in spring of 1976. Later that same month, it was announced that Piccadilly Cafeteria and a 5-screen cinema run by American Multi-Cinema Incorporated would open in the mall, as announced previously. On Wednesday, March 10, 1976 at 9:30 a.m., Fort Henry Mall held its grand opening and ribbon-cutting ceremonies. Sears, Parks Belk, and Miller's would all hold their grand opening that day as well. Opening day for the mall drew in crowds from the Tri-Cities and neighboring states to see the new attraction. Some of the stores and businesses featured on opening day were Lerner Shops, GNC, Goldmine Arcade Family Amusement Center, Nettie Lee Boys and Girls Shop, First Federal, Jewel Box, Clover Patch, Singer, Picture Pay, Baskin-Robbins, Hickory Farms, Sofro Fabrics, Carousel Snacks, TJ's Togs and Tennis, Gateway Hallmark, County Seat, B. Dalton, Caramel Corn, and many more. On Wednesday, February 23, 1977, JCPenney held their grand opening at 10 a.m. The store at the mall would feature a catalog center, beauty salon, and auto center attached to the building. In 1980, Canadian-based Trizac Centers Incorporated bought the property from the mall's previous owners, Kingsport Associates, for an unspecified amount. Trizac would later hand over the property to one of its subsidiaries, the San Diego-based Ernest W. Hahn Corporation. In 1987, Hess's department store of Allentown, Pennsylvania acquired the Miller's department store chain from Allied Stores by hostile takeover. Then later, in November 1987, Hess's announced that it would phase out the Miller's name in favor of its own moniker in February 1988, making the store at Fort Henry Mall convert to a Hess's. In April 1988, it was announced that the mall would go under a multi-million-dollar renovation to spruce up the property as it was in its 12th year of operation. Additional skylights, new ceiling effects, carpeting, tiling, interior landscaping, and a brand new elevator near the Belk Court would be just some of the new additions to the mall, which in turn would lighten and brighten the interior. In September 1988, it was announced that Proffitt's department store planned to open a store at the mall. Negotiations between the mall's owners and Proffitt's would linger on into the months to come, with talks for a proposed mall expansion to accommodate the new anchor even being bought up in the process. On December 22, 1988, Hess's filed suit against the Hahn Corporation. The suit claimed that Proffitt's would be built on a site that will damage Hess's businesses by closing off the open access and creating less parking. In the end, the lawsuit was dropped in May 1989, but in July, Hess's would appeal the decision. However, the appeals court would uphold the decision to dismiss the lawsuit. Alas, in the end, Proffitt's would never build a store at Fort Henry Mall. However, they would come back into play later on. On Monday, September 14, 1992, it was announced that Proffitt's Incorporated would purchase the Hess's department stores in Kingsport, Bristol, and Johnson City, among other locations. The opportunity of the acquisition of Hess's at Fort Henry Mall opened a market that Proffitt's wanted for a long time. 1 month later, on October 24th, Hess's would close and work would begin to convert the store over to Proffitt's. On October 29th, a spokesperson for Proffitt's announced after extensive renovations that the company would be opening in the former Hess's space here and at the Bristol Mall on November 12th, and they did just that. On the morning of Thursday, November 12th, 1992, Proffitt's would hold their grand opening celebrations at the Fort Henry Mall at 10 a.m. In 1995, Proffitt's purchased Parks Belk, which is an independently owned affiliate of the Charlotte, North Carolina-based Belk Incorporated. This purchase gave the company an additional store in Kingsport. The former Hess's store in the Fort Henry Mall was transformed into Proffitt's home store, with all other departments remaining in the former Parks Belk location. Proffitt's would open their additional store in the former Parks Belk space on Sunday, June 18, 1995. In January 1997, Rochester, New York-based Wilmerite Incorporated purchased the mall along with partner Ivanhoe Incorporated, a Canadian-based pension fund. Through the purchase, they look forward to upgrading the center and improving retail options. However, on August 23, 2004, Wilmerite sold the mall to Baltry LLC of Syracuse, New York. It wasn't clear why Wilmerite sold the mall, but around this time the company was attempting to sell 13 other properties. In July 2005, Saks Incorporated, who owned Profits, would sell off its department stores to Belk. The next year in 2006, all Profit stores were converted to Belk. Profit's home store at the mall would become Belk Home & Kids, with the main store housing the rest of the departments. On January 5, 2007, the Fort Henry Mall was sold yet again, this time to Somera Capital Management for $52.65 million. This company had big plans for the property. As soon as they inked the deal to buy the mall, they had already hired an architectural firm to redesign the facility and were planning a substantial renovation to the whole mall. Somera Capital contracted with General Growth Properties to oversee management of the mall. The first major changes to the mall under the new ownership came in December 2007. Where reports were circulating that the name of the mall would be changed from Fort Henry Mall to Kingsport Town Center. The next major announcement came in March 2008, when it was announced that over the next 3 years, a $45 million renovation and expansion would occur. The project was set to begin in June that year and be completed by 2011. Notable plans called for the demolition of JCPenney and building a new anchor tenant closer to Memorial Boulevard, which would be separate from the rest of the mall. The new anchor building would be connected by a promenade-style area. Plans also called for an extension of the building near the theater entrance of the mall by expanding that space to the end of Sears. There will be space for about 6 specialty shops that would have outdoor entrances, and a food court area will be added which would look over an atrium space. However, most of these eager plans would never become a reality. By early 2010, the mall had yet to see much work. By this time, the original plans would have been well underway, but due to the mall management group General Growth Properties selling out their spot to the Hawker Group, the mall's plans were altered to expand and renovate. Around the middle of 2010, the Belk Home & Kids store had combined with the main Belk store on the other side of the mall. The former Belk Home & Kids space would then be walled off in anticipation of the new food court, but the area remained empty following the relocation. In August 2011, Marquee Cinemas announced they would not be renewing their lease and that they would be departing the mall to build a separate complex in June 2012. This would leave the mall without a movie theater. By this point, little to no work has been done in the mall, and by 2012, the previously announced plans for renovation were scrapped except for the theater, which Frank Theaters took over operations of. They announced plans to build a 12-screen Cineplex entertainment center, including an IMAX theater and family entertainment center. Work was supposed to begin in summer 2012, and be completed by spring 2013. However, this plan failed to ever break ground. In June 2016, Hall Property Group purchased the mall for $5 million, and soon after received a 20-year tax break from the city of Kingsport to begin renovations on the property. But then, on January 4th, 2017, Sears announced that it would be closing their location at the mall, which they did in March 2017. Hall Property Group then entered a lawsuit with Frank Theaters back in December 2016 over unpaid rent. In the end, Frank stopped paying rent in March 2016 and was given an eviction notice in October of the same year. After an agreement was made, Frank Theaters vacated the mall on April 30th, 2017. It was then announced the next month that in early March that NCG Cinemas would take over operations. In May 2017, renovations got underway to make the mall what it looks like today. Hall Property Group is famous for walling up the closed stores and lining them with historical photographs, plus installing carpets and lighting. They do this in literally every mall they own. And if you'd like to see another mall that is owned by Hall, you can check out my video on the Richmond Mall in Indiana. Hall had also announced that Dunham Sports would be opening in the old Belk Home store, and they would be changing the name of the mall back to Fort Henry Mall to better connect with the community. In October 2018, the now former Sears building was demolished. Hall hoped that the area could be used to help expand retail opportunities, but as of the airing of this video, nothing had yet been constructed on that tract of land. On June 4th, 2020, it was announced that JCPenney would be closing around October 2020 as a part of a plan that goes 154 stores nationwide. After JCPenney closed, Belk and Dunham's Sports became the only remaining anchor stores left, but that might change soon because in July 2024, 1 month after my visit, it was officially announced that Rural King would open a store inside the former JCPenney and plans to do so in spring 2025, with work already underway by the publishing of this video. Additionally, plans to build a standalone IMAX theater were made known back in October 2023. Currently, work is set to begin in January 2025, and the project is said to be complete next year. I would like to thank everyone for watching my video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give the video a like. It really helps me out and motivates me to produce more videos just like this. Also, I encourage you to comment and share this video to reach a wider audience. As always, have a good evening, you can call it the premiere, and I'll see everyone in the next video.